Episode number 2, The Steve Green Experience. Mike, in this episode, we interview our good friend and the local legend, Steve Green. We talk about how he got to Deep Creek, Boy Scouts, his love for skiing, and how he started high mountain sports. We also go over the 10-year anniversary of Hurricane Sandy. We talk about his best Honi Honi story.
Definitely not going to want to miss that one.
And what he loves about the Deep Creek Lake area and his amazing family. Steve is a local legend, our good friend, and just a pretty amazing dude.
Yeah.
Let's start the show.
All right.
That's the intro. Could you hear me say that was the intro?
Yeah, but I can cut your voice. I can cut your voice out.
Gee, thanks.
I don't usually.
So this is podcast officially number 3 or number 2?
I think we're calling it number 2.
Yeah, we'll call it episode 2.
Well, officially welcome to episode 2.
We can always do it like Star Wars and do 4, 5, 6, and then go back and do 1, 2, 3. Prequel.
We'll see how that goes. I was just saying that I just got home yesterday from a 12-hour drive, and I listened to podcasts pretty much the whole way. So I've got a million things I was thinking about talking about, and we'll see if they actually come out. But today, for episode number 2, we were here with the locally famous Steve Green of High Mountain Sports. What's up, Steve?
Not much. Just got some weather changing here at Deep Creek as it does, and came over here to see what's going on.
Dude, I think Kristin put it on Facebook. It snowed today.
It did.
We just had a bet on this on the last podcast. What did we bet?
I technically, we bet dignity. I don't, some just
No, yeah.
like,
What did we bet? What was the date?
I said
I didn't remember.
I said October 27th. You said November something, and then Mike took the under with October 26th. And
Oh,
you won.
you're right.
but we did say that we had to take a picture. It had to be on the ground. So
Well,
can't
we're
count
supposed
it.
to get 1 to 3 inches apparently.
Well, then I'll take a picture.
I'm very excited. I've been smiling all day.
For the record, it's October 18th. That's early for snow.
Yeah.
I could have told you it was going to happen today because I winterized the boat.
Perfect. Okay, so how many years have you lived at Deep Creek? What do you think a normal snowfall is? Like, I get things messed up in my mind. I've been here about 20 years, and it always seems like it starts snowing between now and Thanksgiving, but sometimes Christmas. What's the earliest snow you remember?
I think I've seen snow in September at some point. It always snows in October, flurries. Your first real snow is, we had the big nor'easter. Which one was that? Back in
Sandy?
Yeah, that was at the end of October.
Right.
That was a
right
lot
at
of snow.
Halloween.
Yeah, and I can remember some big Halloween ice storms too.
Yeah.
Man, Hurricane Sandy was intense. I remember.
I missed that one.
When did we get like 5 feet of snow?
It was about 3 feet of super
It was
thick, wet
so
snow.
heavy.
And it was actually blue.
Yep.
Like, I know it's horrible for so many people. I thought it was awesome. Like, it was great. I remember we looked out the window. No, it was at nighttime. And I remember kind of like late at night, it was getting dark. And I saw like some power transformers pop and you knew the power went off. You knew it was getting really snowy. And then looked outside. It was snowing hard. Then I went to bed. There's nothing you can do about it anyway. The heat was off, whatever. And woke up the next morning. We had like 2 feet. And then I remember thinking like by lunchtime we had like 5 feet. And then, it just kept coming down. It was intense.
Depending on where you were, I'm sure the snow drifts were just insane.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was heavy.
It didn't drift.
No
It was
drift.
just heavy.
Interesting.
But you couldn't. It brought down all the trees because I don't even know if there was leaves on the trees, but
It was.
like
It was
Lakeshore Drive was shut down for like 8 days or 5 days because all the trees fell down, all the power lines fell down, and then all the snow came down. So they had to bring in the snow crew, and the snow crew couldn't work till the power crew got there. The power crew couldn't get there till the tree cutters.
What happened? Oh.
Uh-oh. We just cut off the guest.
The
It's cool.
National Guard. I remember the National Guard being set up at Lowe's. They had like a big tent and all the big like National Guard trucks were at Lowe's because that was the biggest parking lot they could get to.
The only times I remember snow being bad, like changing your life bad, is if the leaves are still in the trees. Like we'll get that from time to time. If we get a big ice storm or a snowstorm in October, the weight breaks the branches, cuts the power lines down, and there you go. But the county actually has, if you pay attention, look around, the county's gone a long way of burying a lot of the power lines. So hopefully that's ending. The closer you are to McHenry, the more they're buried, the further out they're not yet. But yeah, if the leaves are still in the trees, there's a good chance we'll have a power outage.
Yeah, we lost power at the store for like 3 days. and maybe it was 5 days. It was a long time, and it was a little crazy. But now we have our solar panels with our batteries, so that's not going to affect us these days. Hopefully,
Perfect.
How's
Mountain
your
Sports
solar
has gone
doing?
green.
it's doing really well. I think it's by the first year, it's probably going to make like 65% of our energy, and then we got those batteries, and that's going to, as long as the sun's shining, we have some, I think it's probably about 5 to 6 hours worth of power. And then if the sun's shining, then we're good to go. Just keep going.
That's actually a great topic. I think the solar panels are a big wave of the future. What made you decide to do that?
Well, it's been on my list for a long time. It's, a sustainable thing. It's a good thing to do for our planet. And then B, this whole, I want to be more independent. Last year, we had to shut down 3 different times because drunk drivers kept driving their cars through telephone poles and putting out the power. And so we're shut down. And if that happens on a big weekend like Labor Day or Autumn Glory Ski Swap, it's going to cause some damage. So we're good to go now.
So the batteries you have, what'd you say? It makes about 60% of your energy there. So the batteries you have will run your store for hours, if not days, if the power goes out?
Yeah, I'm still figuring it out, but it looks like we probably have, and if we cut back to, just certain, the things we need, we can probably go a long time. But we probably, the way it sits now, we could probably go 5 to 6 hours. Like I said, if that sun's shining, then we can go indefinitely.
So you get immediate energy if the sun's shining. You can
yeah.
immediately.
Yeah, and then like a lot of days we make more than we can use, so it goes back into the grid.
Yeah, I don't understand how that works, going back into the grid.
Just
Basically,
flows
the
the other
meter
way.
runs
Do
backwards.
you get money though? Like, can you sell it to your neighbors or anything?
No, you just get credit. So the day like today, where it's flurrying and dark out, you got a credit, and you can use that towards your bill.
Oh, that's how credits work. Okay, I thought the credits were like the offset credits, but the credit you're talking about is, okay, so if I would have spent $10 on electric, but I've got a $10 credit from a sunny day, that's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
They get used up pretty quick.
We've been thinking about doing it forever. As many commercial offices as we have, we should do it. Gosh, and you go so many places. Everywhere you go has solar panels these days.
Yeah, and financially, it made a lot of sense.
I think you get credits from federal or state government too,
Get
right?
federal and state tax credits. You get full depreciation off the system the first year. There's all kinds of good things going on.
Did you
there.
install them yourself, or did you hire a company?
I hired a company, Mountain View Solar out of West Virginia. They did a good job.
There's a plug. We'll put their website on our website.
Sweet.
So you were actually talking about it a minute ago, right before we got on the solar panels. The snow from Hurricane Sandy was actually blue. Like, Mike, I don't think you lived at the time, Kristin, you might remember it. When you went out the next morning and you did that first snow shovel, like it was crazy. I don't know how to describe it. It was blue. That was the only time I've ever seen it. Have you ever seen that before?
No, the first and only time I've ever seen it, but it was like a weird blue snow, and I guess because there's so much moisture in it.
It was
Yeah.
thundering, and I don't remember that. There was I saw it on the news. There was a
Sometimes they
reason
say
behind
that
it.
thunder snow is blue. It was like the color of my hat bill.
Oh yeah.
I shoveled
Really?
at Wisp.
Oh, yeah.
I was shoveling at Wisp, and I did like a big and it's exactly that. When you look into it, it's like you just discovered a gem under the earth. Like, it's glowing blue. It's so crazy.
Did it make for good ski snow with it being as
No, it
wet?
wasn't open yet. It was too early.
Super thick, wet.
So
snow.
Did anybody poach it? Poach the mountain, jump up there and ski down?
Man, it was hard to get.
It's hard to
around.
move around.
Is that right? Okay.
I was excited about it the first day, and my kids were little. I don't remember how old they were at the time, but my kids were little. And the first day I was like, oh, okay, it's cool. We'll build a fire. The power's out, whatever. We'll play games. And that was fun. And then day 2 got a little bit old. Day 3 or 4 got a little bit worse. And I remember we finally dug out of my driveway. I think I had a Jeep back then. Got out of the driveway, got our way to my parents' house because my parents' power had never gone out. Where my parents' house were probably long to take a shower, eat some dinner or something, and their power went out. And I was like, oh, man. And I got the kids in the car and went to Morgantown and got a hotel. The kids were little. It was a long couple of days.
So that's kind of like my story. So same thing. Like, I'm watching out the window that Sunday night, and just these big blue-green flashes as these transformers were blowing up, just left and right. I mean, it was crazy. So I get up the next morning. I'm like, okay, if I don't get to work, 'cause I'm always worried about work for some reason. So I left about 4:30 in the morning. Of course, I'm driving. I have a big truck. I was driving over small trees on my road, and I did get out. And then going down 219, I pretty much just stuck it in a snowbank next to the store, pulled in, got 15 feet and the truck got stuck. Power's out. So I had to go in, break into the garage. And the garage doors open. And so undo that to get to the snowplow truck. And then, so I'm snow plowing and, every hour, hour and a half, I'm getting stuck. And I'm not sure why I was in such a hurry. And then, so I had to bring out the snowblower, get the truck unstuck. That day, about 3 in the afternoon, I look around on the lake and there is not a soul. There is nothing. It's dead silence. And I'm like, going home. If I get hurt, there's just no one around. Like no lights on. You can't hear a thing. It was eerie.
Wow.
It was crazy. Maybe 2012. I think that
the year
sounds
it
right.
was?
Yeah, I was still in.
I think it was
college.
13.
We'll have to fact check
yeah.
this when it's over. It was somewhere around there. I'm sure the entire world knows.
I was
except
fighting
us.
with my roommate. So I was in Morgantown. I was at WVU. I was fighting with my roommates. I texted my dad and I said, "I'm coming home." And he said, "Well,
Not today."
He said, "We don't have any power and there's no heat and you probably can barely get here." And I said, "I'll be there in an hour."
Yeah. Oh, so the best part of the story I forgot is the next day at 11:30, my family got in the vehicle and left and went to my dad's house in North Carolina.
Oh my gosh.
They're out of here.
Yeah.
No power. No.
So
hot
we
water.
all love the snow, and the first thing we did was leave
Well, I stuck around.
for a day or two.
But
They were out of here.
So, I'm eating, most of my meals at Arrowhead that week, but they were on and off, like every 4 hours, the power would go off because trees kept falling down. Like you'd be going down from High Mountain Sports to Arrowhead, and like you'd have to be careful because trees kept falling off the hill, like 3 days later.
So are you from Garrett County? Did you grow up here or did you move here?
So I grew up in Rockville, Montgomery County side of DC. And then I had bus trips up here to Wisp in high school. And our ski club director had a place up here. So he was fond on this area. I went to the University of Maryland and I couldn't afford ski, so I started teaching skiing. And we were going to go to Greek Peak, and Mr. Myers, Gary, says, ski club director, you should come to the Wisp and teach because it's a whole lot quicker than going to Greek Peak in New York. So I did.
Nice. So you actually turned what you wanted to do into a job. Like you basically said, "Hey, I want to ski. I can't afford to ski, so I'm going to teach people how to ski." And then eventually opened up a ski shop, which turned into a whole lot more. Well, what was the first basis on High Mountain Sports? My first memory, I don't think these two remember. My first memory of High Mountain Sports, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was just this little house, and you guys had it stuffed with every cool thing in the world. Like mostly skis, though, right?
Yeah, so I started teaching skiing, and I was working for Dieter and Ludwig, the Austrian ski school instructors. Now, back in the day, it was a really big deal if you had Austrian ski instructors, the whole glamour thing. So we had Dieter and Ludwig. And then after about the third day, I'm making like $4 a day. And, I'm on winter break as a high school or a college kid. And so I couldn't, barely make it. In fact, I had to move out of my rental house and live on a sofa for a while. So the next year I got a job tuning skis. And it was called the Pinnacle Ski Shop. It was the original High Mountain Sports. And it was the building that they tore down this year right next to Lito's Pizza.
What year was
upstairs.
that? What year do you think that was?
So that was probably 88. So I think I started teaching skiing in 87. I think they opened up in 87. And then so I started
George your
work for 'em.
landlord? My father-in-law was your landlord?
Yeah, for them.
For that little place?
So it was called the Pinnacle. They had 5 owners, all these ski instructors, and
So Pinnacle wasn't you. The Pinnacle
it was
the
High
deal
Mountain
before
Sports.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm just this college kid drinking beer at night, tuning skis, trying to pay some bills so I can ski because I really like skiing, and that's how do you become a ski instructor? Essentially, become a ski bum.
How did you get into skiing if you're from Rockville? Like, where did you go ski?
The junior high. Well, actually, I learned in Boy Scouts. They took us up to Ski Liberty
Once again.
and took us skiing, and I can remember that first day, and they gave us a half-hour lesson to set us free, and it was lights out.
So your son's an Eagle Scout too, right? Jacob?
He is an Eagle Scout. I'm not. I came close.
He beat you. That 18th birthday is tricky.
It is.
You have to finish it. For those who don't know, you have to finish by your 18th birthday. And I don't think there's any slack. Like if you miss it by your 18th birthday in a day, you didn't make it, I don't think.
Not at all.
Yep.
So I'm doing this, and then I'm thinking I'm going to graduate from college and go to law school. And then I'm like,
So glad you didn't.
going to law school is really hard to ski. So I cut that one out. and came up here. And I was working for a defense contractor down in Bethesda doing some stuff, and really, I'm like 2 hours a day in the car. I'm like, ugh. So anyways, I moved up here, started working for these guys, and there was some evolution. Now we are over in that stone house next to what was then the trading post, going way back, the pink building, the trading post. And in 91, it was Jimmy Raley and Jeff Gosnell and my former partner, Brian Gladfelty. And they're like, you should own a ski shop. I'm like, yeah, sounds like a great idea.
Jimmy was probably just trying to sell you a building.
Exactly.
So a lot of people don't remember, and I'll get the dates mixed up, but 1991 and beforehand, what High Mountain Sports is now, where Brenda's and Subway and you guys and Trader's Landing, basically, it wasn't that. It was a little rock house that had literally, by memory, every cool thing that you would possibly want in it, which was Steve's store. And then it had basically like a tourist trap was your neighbor, like just sold trinkets and floats and rafts.
It's called the Trading Post. It was a pink building right off the highway. And Deep Creek Lake salt shakers or, your toothpick holder. And, they had it nailed. All these $5, $10 toys that back then, it was probably $2 back then, that you knew were going to fall apart after 3 hours, but you're on vacation. Dad, mom gave the kids a couple bucks to go buy their trinkets. And, those guys made a killing there for years.
Who owned that store? Who was that?
Skip Bernard, Nancy Bernard.
Oh, I've heard of them. Okay.
So similar like Bear Creek Traders now, I guess, is that, but they have like clothes and stuff.
Not as nice, maybe?
Yeah, it was like the original, like I think you don't see those kinds of stores anymore. Like you'd go on vacation and there'd be a store and, you'd have the cedar salt shakers, there's a Deep Creek Lake on them or a plate or...
Have you ever been to south of the border on your way to Myrtle Beach? So it's not like south of the border, but it's kind of like that.
Okay.
Like if you can picture any beach town, they have the trinkety, knick-knack, $5 rafts.
Bosswood
and stuff
airplanes.
Like that.
Yeah.
Wiffle bats.
Like it was appropriately named a tourist trap. It was the tourist trap.
Mm-hmm.
Trading Post.
Trading Post.
Yeah. But, I think the area evolved over time to, different clientele coming here.
Sure.
So when you first started, you changed the name from Pinnacle to High Mountain Sports? Or did you buy Pinnacle or did you leave Pinnacle and start High Mountain Sports?
No, so the former guys that were owners, they went from Pinnacle to High Mountain Sports, made that move over to Trader's Landing. And then in 91, it was High Mountain Sports. I'd been working there for a couple of years, bought in, and we were in that house. We were in... There was a building where Brenda's Pizzeria is, and we were upstairs, and there was a French bakery in the downstairs.
Okay.
From there, we moved to that rock house, and if you remember, the inside was Smurf Blue.
Vaguely.
I went on vacation once, and I came back, and my former partner painted it Smurf Blue.
You like Smurfs?
He did. And then the Trading Post built a new store for them where the furniture store is. That was the second Trading Post, and that space was vacant, and we moved into that.
So back then, was it mostly skis? Is that what you guys sold, was skiing equipment? Or because what year did snowboarding become popular?
Snowboarding was started right in 87, 88, and Wisp was one of the few areas that allowed it. Back in the day, a lot of areas didn't allow snowboarding. It was like,
Oh, no, it was bad. I remember I probably got into, maybe I skied once or twice in high school. And I got into snowboarding somewhere around 10th grade, I think. And I did it basically because it was cool. Like all the cool kids were doing it. And I was like, oh, great. Who needs to ski on a snowboard? But back then, like if you hit a jump on the Wisp, I don't remember about the Wisp so much, but they would kick you out. Like there were signs everywhere that would literally say no jumping. And
no inverted maneuvers.
Yeah, and like but that almost to me made it cooler because I don't know, when it said no, you can't jump, I wanted to jump, and I think every kid in the world did, So I think it kind of worked in what it did the opposite of what I think a lot of the ski resorts wanted to do. And there were some ski resorts that just banned snowboarding. I remember a bunch of them, like you just couldn't go if you were a snowboarder, and it made no sense. Why would they not want to sell you lift tickets? I guess skiers.
We're still down to 2 or 3 that don't allow it.
Really?
Not around here. You mean
Not
like
around
out
here.
west?
Yeah.
Deer Valley doesn't, right?
Yeah, I think it's Alta, Deer Valley, and I think there's a third one.
Interesting.
Might
Those
be
would
down
be
to
your
2 now.
real hard skiers. Like I've been to Deer Valley before, but I don't know. In my mind, I remember it being really fancy, but I could be wrong.
It is. And, you know, that whole Park City, it's where the 1% of the 1%ers hang out.
Yeah.
But I love skiing in Deer Valley because all those folks going for lunch at 11 o'clock and don't come out. Skiing's great.
I would love to go.
One of my best snowboarding trips ever was Park City with Jimmy. I think it was me, Jimmy, and Mike Kennedy. And we went during Sundance. And it was great because they shut down all the stores. I don't know, if you're in Sundance, Park City for Sundance, like all the movie stars come to town for that stuff. So they shut down the regular stores and turn them into like Hollywood stores and whatever. And the coolest part is none of those people skied. Like we skied more at Park City or snowboarded more at Park City that week than ever because it was basically us. Like it was us and movie stars. And I have to ask Mike and see if he remembers right. We rode up the chairlift, and I think it was Stifler's mom that we rode up the chairlift with.
Oh my God.
I don't know her real name, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of remember that.
That's pretty funny.
So then what's snowboarding now? Because I've actually seen that. Me as an outsider looking at just somebody likes to do it. It almost looks like, say 87, like you said, and before snowboarding wasn't even a thing. Then it kind of took off, I guess, with Burton and those guys in the early 80s, mid 90s, boomed 95 to 2005. And then it almost seems like with the new creation of these skis these guys on skis are just doing sick flips. I mean, it's just, when did skiing become the really cool thing again?
Well, you know, everything's cyclical. So back in the day, originally we started selling stuff, and the stuff was crap back in the day. You know,
Snowboards? My first one was a black snow.
Yeah, you'd
horrible.
be going down the slope and you look down and your binding would come off the board, you know, 'cause it just wasn't the quality. And then the bindings were constantly breaking. And back, you know, originally you were using a pair of old Sorel snowboard boots that, you know, it wasn't until like the 5th or 7th year they actually came out with real snowboard boots. And, but back then, if you were a snowboarder, the chances are it was a lifestyle sport. You know, you just didn't go snowboarding. You were a snowboarder. And, you know, that was your lifestyle and how you lived. And it was a big deal. So people bought into that. You know, it was a thing. And then I think it's probably like 2005 where all the skiers started putting parks in. You know, like I said, you couldn't do this stuff way back in the day. It was outlawed. And then they actually allowed it and started putting these big jumps in. And the skis started changing. The shape skis became really cool and easy to use. And I think the snowboarding went from less of a lifestyle to it was just a sport you went and did on the weekends kind of thing.
It's totally it. I remember I was a wannabe. Like I totally wanted to be that kid. Like I was like, I want to be that guy. And you're right. I got my first snowboard from Play It Again Sports. It was a black snow, and I wore imitation Timberland boots my dad got me from Walmart. Like that's literally how I learned how to snowboard. And, somehow I didn't die. It was great.
Yeah.
So my other excuse is I'm not good at jumping. So my other excuse was by the time it was legal and cool to jump, I was too old to figure it out. So at least I've got an excuse.
So remember I told you back in the day they had the Austrians running the ski school over here. Well, they brought in a snowboard school. And all the guys that were the snowboard school, it's like a movie, and the snowboard directors, these guys were like the hooligans. And there's probably a movie out there about this. But like if something happened the night before, they were into it or did it. You know, I mean, they probably destroyed countless houses with parties. And, you know, there was the management at the ski area back there was in a constant battle with those guys. You know, it was a hoot.
When did the half pipe go into Wisp? I remember when I was a kid.
Half pipe?
When I was a kid, the half pipe was there, and we used to bomb down Boulder, and you would finish in the half pipe and come out at Chair 1.
Do you have any idea how hard a half pipe is first? Like, So I've attempted the half pipe. Like, I don't know, maybe this is me, but the half pipe, in my opinion, is way harder than any ski slope I've ever attempted to go down. Like the half pipe, if it's done right, it's sick, it's intense. When was it built?
Well, there was 2 half pipes. So the original was a ditch that they put under Chair 1 down at the bottom. And that's when these guys, you know, the original ski school had built this, they, you know, excavated a big hole, and they were down there shaping it, and somehow they gave them a piece of equipment. And I don't think that turned out well. It was like an old snowcat, and I don't remember this exactly, but I just remember that things didn't work out well there. And it
wasn't professionally designed.
And so then they moved one over to the bottom of the face, and it was a super pipe, and they actually had a piece of, you know, the big cutter on the front of the snowcat to build it, and it was the real deal. And they probably had that 4 or 5 years.
I just remembered I was in college and you guys had the coolest Burton snowboard I wanted so bad. It was a 153 twin and it had Harley Davidson dudes all over it. And I don't know why, but I wanted that snowboard so bad. And I finally bought it from me after that summer. And I actually just gave it away to a kid that I know is 14 years old about last year. It still works. That board's probably 20 some years old, held up and still awesome. And it was just cool to... Why would you have Harley Davidson guys on a snowboard? I don't know, but it was awesome. It was really cool.
So what year was the half pipe there? The second one?
So the first one was early 90s. The second one...
Well,
I don't remember it being on Fate. I remember when I was a kid, I would have been in like second or third grade. So like 2001, 2002, 2003.
Matt
It was
Lucas
still under...
was in high school.
So that's same age as Justin. So probably like early 2000s, I would say.
That's my guess. Because it was kind of
Mark
like...
Roberts was in high school back then.
It was at the bottom of face, more to the left, I guess, if you're looking at the hill, right?
And it was the real deal. So you got up to the top of it, and it was vertical sidewalls. So at that point, you're either committed or you're sliding down to the bottom.
Can you ski a half pipe or only snowboard? I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Nowadays, people ski on them. I don't think back then you could.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's still, like, Seven Springs, before they got bought up by Vail, had, like, the super half pipe.
Oh, my gosh. I was just watching it. It was a couple months ago. The one where Shaun White crashed. Do you remember that? Where he wrecks up? And obviously, this is Olympics. It's way different than what we're talking about the Wisp. But the vertical on this was something like 40 feet, right?
Oh.
And he was 40 feet above that. I mean, it is, I don't know, if you're not Shaun White, how do you possibly do that?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
I don't
commitment
understand how you do
right
that.
there. Wow.
Yeah. Which we were just talking the other day, this area's produced two incredible athletes. You got Tom Wallish,
Bring him up.
X Games, and now he's the commentator for the Olympics, ESPN.
Who's that, Tom who?
Tom Wallish. And he started skiing over here. Mom and Dad were bringing him up here on Friday night from Pittsburgh, and he was out there until they threw him off the slopes at 10:15 when the slopes closed, or whatever time it was. And first one out on Saturday morning, hanging out with all his buddies when he was a little tater tot, and then made it big. And then Jason Slezak, another big kiteboarder, went to the college Adventure Sports up here, and I can remember one day they actually had a jump built over Deep Creek Drive down near where the monkey business thing is. Yeah. And right in there. So they were jumping the gap in the road there back in the day, which, is kind of the predecessor before you made it big as a, professional kiteboarder.
Wow.
Attention, kids, you will probably be arrested for that nowadays. Don't do that.
Yeah, they just had the 40th anniversary for ASI. Was last weekend.
For real?
I think it was 40 years. No.
30 maybe.
30.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
90s.
He was in
So it's
town.
big.
That's why I brought that up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So Tom Wallish actually grew up here, like you said, from Pittsburgh, came down, and there's kind of, I don't know him, I've never met him, I've heard about him, but it's kind of a joke that if you can learn how to ski or snowboard on the East Coast, you can definitely do it on the West Coast.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for everybody who thinks about that, and that's something I think about sometimes, do I like going to Park City? Do I like going to Lake Tahoe? 110%. I freaking love it. But this is great too, and this is easy to get to, and I think that's why it's so popular. Like if you live in Rockville, you can get your dad to put you in the minivan or Suburban and come up here for the weekend. It's 3 hours away. And no, it's not as tall, but it is. There's a lot of diverse terrain here. You can get difficult, you can get easy, you get jump parks. Like it is a really good place to learn to ski.
Yes, the face is as steep as anything out there in the world. It's just a lot shorter.
Yeah. I felt very prepared going out west.
Yeah, you make it down the face when it's kind of icy, whatever. You can ski anywhere.
Oh yeah. So Kristin just started getting into skiing 2 years ago, and I remember you were pumped when you went down face.
I skied a ton as a kid, like most kids in Garrett County. You used to get a free ski pass if you got A's and B's on your report card. What? So when I was in like 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, you got a free ski pass. You went on a ski trip. It was super fun. So like that's a typical like childhood in Garrett County. I moved away in high school, and in between that, you grow a foot, you learn about fear and injuring yourself. So when I was in college and I was working at Wisp, I came back and I was terrified to go fast, and I lost like all my nerve, but I didn't learn a lot of technique when I was younger. I just bombed every hill. So then I really got into it, 2 or 3 years ago, and I had to kind of learn the technique again as an adult, which was very hard. But I booked a trip to Alaska.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm going to learn. I'm going to go. I went to the Autumn Glory ski swap. I bought a used pair of demo skis, and I did it. And yeah, it was awesome. The trip out west was amazing. But I will say absolutely nothing was steeper than Face. It was just longer. And last year, coming off my trip out west, I came back here and it was like, I love it.
A lot of people probably don't even know about the whalebacks on Face. And I don't know, probably Steve explain to me what the heck I'm actually talking about. But at 45 years old, after skiing at the Wisp for 20, however many years, sometimes they still freak me out. Like the whalebacks is mostly in the beginning of season is when they just blow a boatload of snow. Like they make these mountains of man-made snow on the steepest part. So you're going down Face and it's super steep. Then you have an uphill and you go up and sometimes it's super steep. And I'm sure there are people who jump off of there. I kind of peek it and tiptoe over the top and go back down again. But it's pretty intense. Like it's for East Coast, it's great.
It is, and Wisp is known for those big whalebacks. You know, so the theory in snowmaking, you make these huge mounds because you want the water to settle out. It makes better, snow. So they like to let them sit as long as they can before they push them out, so that water drains out. But every kid, worth his lick is getting up there and launching himself into space.
The ones on Squirrel Cage last year, every day I was like, oh, when are you going to groom it? I'm so scared.
I'm down with the whalebacks. I'm not good at moguls.
No.
So what's the most time you've had on skis? How many days in a year is the most you've ever done in a year? Do you know?
Probably when I was teaching skiing, we were, we'd start, early December and go to the end of March. And I was pretty much skiing 6 days a week, teaching skiing. You had to take one day off or your feet would just get fried from being in ski boots. And let your boots hair out a little bit.
I always think that's the thing with any sport. The more time you do it, the better you're going to get. And then, if you're doing it 6 days in a row for 10 years, obviously you turn into be a very good skier.
Yeah, teaching 40 college kids on a bus trip in the rain, you get things figured out.
So you started off the store with the basic idea of selling skis and snowboards. Nowadays, you've got mountain bikes, wakeboards. I don't remember what year wakeboarding came into play or it became popular. I'm going to give you a hard time in a minute because I really want you to bring back a competition you used to have, but you keep telling me no, and I'm going to talk you into it anyway.
Was going to come up.
And so you started off with skiing, then snowboarding, then did you just pull every cool sport that you liked into it? Like, because you have pretty much every adventure sport that I know of, at least, you guys sell the supplies for.
Yeah, and Garrett County is a unique market. Like, if you're in Rockville, you could just have a bike store and just do bikes. Well, you can't make a living off a bike store. There's just not enough people in Garrett County that want a bike to live off. So you've got to diversify. And we're actually one of a few stores that carry so many items. It's not really a smart thing to do. It takes a lot of work, but we get by with it doing that. And you've kind of made a unique store.
Did snowboarding make wakeboarding popular, or was wakeboarding around first?
Yeah, I think it was probably a similar crew and a similar feel. And again, that original crew, if you were a wakeboarder, it was a lifestyle thing. It wasn't just something you went out in mom, dad's boat and jumped on.
Have any of you done snow skating? I know, like, all my buddies who like to ski and snowboard, like, they don't ski or snowboard on the mountain anymore.
That's like the skateboard with the thing. So Justin Liller has one, and he did bring it out one day where we did a media day, and you have like a little wrist strap in case you fall off.
It's a board with no straps, like no bindings, it's on a long ski.
It's like a skateboard on a ski.
I'm not calling Justin old, but we are way too old for that. That is something you need to do a long time before you turn 40. That is the easy way to break. I've seen it, but there's not a chance I'm doing it.
Yeah,
that's a newer thing, right? Snow skate,
5 or 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and there's like this dedicated group here that they're really it's kind of like a little, there's some mountains have certain things about them. That's one. There's this dedicated group of the skaters here.
Yeah, actually, first chair opening day. One of there was a group of 3 guys, and one of them was doing a snow skate the whole time.
Yeah. So, and then the other big news is that the group that owns Wisp just bought J Peak.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited.
What is that?
So J Peak is on the Canadian border up in Vermont.
Okay.
And it's like the East Coast powder capital. So they get a ton of snow. I've never been there, but it was kind of on my radar beforehand. And now that they haven't announced anything, but theoretically we're going to get some free days. It's not easy to get to. So
I did read that there is a shuttle that will come get you in the Burlington airport from JP, from the resort. So the resort is huge. They have like multiple hotels, lodges, housing. Like it's a huge resort in itself, and the mountain is pretty nice. It's like mostly intermediate expert, but they will pick you up from the airport. It's like 90 minutes from Burlington. I was all over their website. I'm so excited. So the big thing with J Peak is they encourage you to go through the woods. They're like, there are no boundaries at J Peak. Like, go through the woods, get off the trail. Like, they're all about that.
yeah, and it's this mountain that has a real ski culture to it, like this ingrained, we are J Peak, and, you know, we're not changing. So there's a lot of locals got really uptight when, you know, it went bankrupt and, you know, came up for sale, which is a whole different story. But then the Wisp, essentially, or the folks of Pacific Group, evidently their model for running ski resorts is that they essentially let you run in your own mountain. Like Vail, the corporation and the Epic Pass, essentially, I think this is changing, but they want you to run your mountain like all the other mountains. So you kind of lose your identity. Looks like J Peak, and they're going to retain the manager there and keep that cool vibe.
Mike and I are working with Mark Fisher at Pacific Group right now on a different project here. He's coming into town on, I don't know, in a month or so. It'd be really cool if we got him on here. He may actually come on a podcast. That'd be kind of cool. He'll be here. I forget the dates, but he's coming soon to help us with something we're working on, and it'd be neat to get him on here and get his take on it.
It would be really neat because, you know, I'm really into skiing and how things work and looking at all the resorts they own and their website, trying to figure everything out. And they keep a really low key media presence. There's one of the new guys that they have, the Kristin, that's part of their group that does talk a little bit on social media. But
Yeah, I saw a couple tweets that he did.
but yeah, here with
For the
their,
Pacific Group?
yeah.
Yeah. He might be the COO or this. I don't think he's the CEO.
Yeah, but I follow on Twitter. There's a guy named Lift Blog, or that's the name of his handle. And he last year finished. He wanted to ski every chairlift in North America, and he finished that last year. Now he started on Canada. But there's another guy called Storm Skiing Journal, and he covers like the insides of how ski resorts are run, and you know the different passes. And so between those two, you get a really cool. A lot of information about it. So anyways, how, you know, I've kind of like always wanted to own a ski resort, and, you know, watching how the Wisp runs and things, it just fascinates me.
So Mike and I sell real estate. We'll find one for you to buy.
Yeah.
It's a challenge.
I think I've gotten smart enough now. I know better.
It's more fun just to go.
When are we going to see a high speed lift?
You know, and I've read a lot about this, and with ski areas, you want to have a lot of lifts out of your main area to get the people out to the rest of it. Like, you know, if you Park City, which they just lost their chairlift, which is a different story. But a lot of the smaller mountains, sometimes just if you do run the numbers, it doesn't make sense, because for a 600-foot vertical is what the front chair does maybe. Spend, you know, that $10 million for a high-speed lift to get people up versus a fixed grip. You got to do the numbers there. But
It only takes 5 minutes to get to the top.
Well,
anyway, if 5 minutes.
I think it's 10 minutes.
10,
3
okay.
songs on my phone.
But that would be a good question for him, because I'd like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because they do. The rumor is that they slow it down on busy days so that more people are on the lifts and less people are on the slopes. I don't know. I have gone on a high wind.
That'd be a good question.
I've heard the rumor that they slow the lift down incrementally.
Why would they do that?
On a busy day? That way more people are stuck on the lift and there's less people on the snow.
Oh, so we probably should have told you this, because he might want to use this in the interview if we ask him that question. We came up with this idea when we started this podcast. If you get asked a question you don't want to answer, you get a get out of jail free card, and that
That's
works
true.
for us too. So the get out of jail free card is Tiger Claw. If you just don't want to answer, just say Tiger Claw. We're going to make fun of you and move on.
And if you ever come back for the podcast for round 2 and you're locked out, just text us Tiger Claw and we'll know what's up. That's the password too. Never mind. No, it's not.
I don't mind. I don't mind the lift here, but when you do go out west, it is like it's terrifying. My first high speed lift was in Alaska.
It's cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
Whitetail has
it's
one.
so fast. I just went to Timberline last year for the first time.
So you get there faster, but does the wind make you colder in
Wait,
the
does
meantime?
Timberline? What's it
Yeah.
called? Timberline have a high speed now?
Yeah, absolutely do.
I haven't been there since.
It's
okay.
pretty ballin'.
Yeah.
So
That's down like Canaan,
There-
right?
Is it
There's-
Timberline or Timberland? Why am I messed up?
Timberline.
Line.
It's not the boots. It's the okay.
So you know how to make $1 million in the ski industry?
buy a ski slope?
Start with $2 million. So, for years, skiers were going out of business. Like, I think Snowshoe went bankrupt, I would say 5 or 6 times. I mean, there's been all kinds of owners down there. So having owners with deep pockets is really important.
I feel like golf courses are the same way.
They are. It's just so capital intensive for snowmaking, clearing, just keeping the trees cut back the season, these $300,000, $400,000 snowcats, paving your parking lot, just it's expensive. And then if you have a bad 2 or 3 bad seasons, I mean, I think right now last couple of years have been nuts in ski areas. So people are a little jaded and don't remember where things are, like this skier has been bankrupt once or twice.
Well, I guess that's
Don't
a
bet on
good
Mother
thing
Nature.
that a big company picked them up then overall, right?
It is. And that's why this, the Vail Epic Pass, that the model there is those guys, doesn't matter what the season is because they got your money in August. So now they've got a guaranteed way to keep that ski area open and it's diversified. So say the Mid-Atlantic has a horrible year. Well, maybe British Columbia or the Pacific Northwest has a great year. So it averages out. But they can, right now it's a record year number of ski chairlifts being put in that are in the final stages of construction right now.
Well, and there's no one's ever going to say anything. COVID was not a good thing. Nobody will ever say COVID was a good thing. One thing that COVID did that was good was it woke up people to go outside again. Like you saw COVID sparked a big spike in skiers and snowboarders. It sparked people to go back on the golf course. It sparked people to go camping and RVing again. Like it actually, I don't know. For me, I noticed when I was younger, when I was say 25 and below or 30 below even, I loved snowboard. It was awesome. Then somewhere between 30 and 40, I got kind of lazy with it. And then all of a sudden my kids got into it. It made me start having fun with it again. I think COVID was that for a lot of people. They're like, oh, I actually like this. And people got out of their house. They went skiing. It's the one thing they could do. And they're like, dude, it's a great family event. And if you're really thinking about it, what other sport can you go out and have a great day playing with your family? Like it's not, I mean, maybe basketball, but it's not like you guys are going to go out and start a football team with your 10-year-old kids and tackle them all day. It's a, like skiing's actually legit family sport. No matter what your skill level is, the whole family go out and have a good day. And I think COVID woke people up and said, hey, outside's fun. And it just began. Did you notice your sales went up because of that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we were incredibly lucky. So, we shut down and, or essentially kind of had to lay everyone off and sitting around for a week or two going, oh my gosh, what the hell are we going to do? And then there was one weekend, and during that, really hadn't noticed it, but these folks that have second homes up here moved up here full time.
Yeah.
So there's one weekend, I think we canceled all of our orders. Oh, we don't want the bikes right now. We don't want wakeboards. Just hold
then you
off.
couldn't get them.
And there's one weekend, I think I sold like 10 bikes and, all these kayaks. So we had to so I started, hey, anyone want to come back and go to work? And we were able to find some programs and get everyone in there. And then, the big companies like the REIs and stuff in the beginning, they didn't figure it out. And the small guys that, cause I'm there every day, figured out, and in the beginning, we were able to get the stuff and restock. But it's funny because all these folks, so they move up here, they're coming in the past, they're up here every couple weeks. And, on Saturday, if it's nice, they took the boat out. Well, now they're up here for 3 weeks at a time or, just indefinitely. They got this boat sitting there and it's nice weather. They're using that boat 6-7 days a week. So we need every toy there is to go in that boat. And we just happen to have those toys. So it worked out really well.
And you guys are good about adapting. I remember when COVID first started, I went out mountain biking one day, and I don't remember what I did to it, but I jacked my bike all up and had to bring it to you. And you had a system set up. I remember I called you or texted you, whatever I did, and I had to drop it off into your shed in this slot, and you knew what it was, and you brought it back, and you worked on it, and we never came in contact with each other at all. And you guys adapted, and it was great.
Yeah, we tried to get it figured out.
You had to.
We didn't know if the death plague was, we could touch it. We had to sanitize your bike to work on it. We just didn't know back then.
Yeah.
But it did. People forgot for a while that being outside was fun. And I think we all go through that because you have to, I noticed with myself that I'm lazy sometimes, and I'll be like, I don't feel like doing it. It's cold. Once I'm out there, I have a great time. It's just you've got to get yourself motivated, which is kind of leading into you. I will drive past you running on the worst days ever. Like it'll be, I don't know, -4, snowing with rain, if that's possible at -4. I don't know. And there you are just running down 219, just happy as can be. Like I just notice you doing that all the time.
So I enjoy having a snack or two here and there. So, and they say this is really bad, but to keep a reasonable, size, I, go out and run and ride my bike and skiing and cross country and, walk my skis up the hill. And
that is the only reason I work out.
Yeah, right.
That is it.
I like it. I know.
You're among like minds.
I'm going to replace snack with beer, but no, that is exactly why.
There might be a couple beers in there.
Yeah.
But running is this great thing where the phone's not ringing and you can start thinking through, okay, what's coming up the next 3 days? And I really need to take a notepad with me, start writing things down, but I can run. You don't get, like, we went to the soccer game last night. I froze. You're standing there. But I don't get cold, and I'm good to about 4 degrees, and I start getting frostbite on my cheeks. So, other than that, I had a nice run this morning.
It is funny what you get to, or you get used to. This morning I left the house with a sweatshirt on, and I was like, man, it's cold. Well, it was only 37 or 40, whatever it was. I guarantee you when April rolls around or March rolls around, we're going to have a day that's probably 28, and I'm going to walk outside and be like, oh my God, it's so nice. And take my sweatshirt off. I mean, a t-shirt is just, it's funny what you get used to. Right now is the hard time of year for me because it's not cold, but my hands get cold.
Today,
you give it a month and you get used to it.
Today it was freezing and everybody was like, oh, but in the spring when it's 32 degrees, we're like, whoo, start shedding layers down.
Yep.
No, I don't run, but I love to hike and I get all my best thinking done. And I don't get to get off my phone because I can make phone calls when I walk, but the more often I walk, sometimes I don't have to make phone calls, and that's literally the best time for me. And I started just putting AirPods in and like you were saying, carry a notebook. I'll just have the audio notebook going and, throw ideas in there and stuff like that. But do you find that too? Like you just kind of come up with good ideas when you're running?
All the time. We're going to we should do this. Why don't we do that? And then, you're like the last 2 weeks have been incredible, just really beautiful here. So running in this stuff is great. We did a bike ride that was unreal here last week. And then, I've kind of come an amateur bird watcher because I didn't realize this till about 5 or 6 years ago that Deep Creek Lake is this incredible like hotel for birds on their way north or south. And like we're in that time of year now where there's stuff coming and like you won't see these birds in the summer.
Swans. When the swans come in, are they trumpeter swans? I don't remember.
Yeah.
That big flock of swans comes in every single year for like a day. And there's like 30 or 40 of them and they fill the whole lake. And it's amazing. I see them in front of the shop a lot, but then they go down to McHenry Cove and it's incredible.
Yeah.
No idea. See, I don't know.
Oh my God.
Deep Creek.
It's like, it's a holiday for me every year.
I heard Cranesville Swamp is amazing. I've never been down there, but I noticed it a lot when I lived on the lake and we were right there on Deep Creek Drive, and I would definitely see, like, they were like, why are they here? They're flying. I thought birds fly south for the winter. It's like, yeah, well, this is south of Canada,
They got tired and stopped at the lake.
Right.
But there's these things, I think they're called buffleheads or baffleheads, and they've got they're like small ducks, but they got this mohawk thing going on. And you see those guys coming up and down. And then like when they take off, they actually run across the water. It's kind of cool.
What?
So I don't mean to bounce back, but I got to bounce back in case we run out of time. In early 2000s, Steve and his partners, High Mountain Sports, had a competition called Bust Largeness wakeboarding competition, and it was awesome. And
How many times did you enter?
Never. I watched it, but it was great. You started at. Wait, I feel like I did something with you guys. I don't know. I watched it. Trust me, I was not in it, but it was great to watch, and it was neat because it would inspire you too. Like you get out there and you'd see these. One of the first times I ever saw somebody do a backflip was at that competition, and then literally, I feel like the next year everybody was doing backflips. I mean, it's cool when you sit there and watch people do. And this is before YouTube, so nowadays you can get on YouTube and see people do backflips. But back then, it was just a really, really good time. But you said it just got too busy. We started too early. You had to start too early in the morning. The lake got too choppy, and a million reasons why you shouldn't do it again. But it was really, really, really cool.
Yeah. So when this all started, like they started doing these contests, and I think the Deep Creek Water Ski Club was going to do one, and well, something happened, it fell apart. So we're like, well, we'll do one. And then we essentially, for wakeboarding, to some degree, we have a natural amphitheater right in front of our store. So we'd offer all kinds of prizes, and it was kind of a low key contest, and we'd get like 30 kids out there and, get a DJ and, start 7 a.m. with some really loud music. And somehow we got the permits to do all this and, very few complaints. Cause I mean, we would, fill to the side of 219 would just be filled with spectators, and there'd probably be 30 or 40 boats sitting out watching this. And, we'd run our boat right up in the middle of it. And, we had the DNR telling people, in a boat with flashing lights to stay away. And it was
What
kind
do
of
you
a big
think
deal.
this was?
That's
This
awesome.
is 99 through 2003, something like that?
Yeah, I got most of the t-shirts at home.
That was the cool part, too. The T-shirts were always really cool.
Yeah. They're collector's items.
So I have no idea if we ever figured out a way to bring that back again, but something like that would be pretty neat.
So yeah, and the big problem there, as things progressed, these kids started getting really good. And you're probably not going to believe this, but sometimes the water in front of high mountain sports gets a little choppy.
No way.
So it became a little more difficult for these guys to throw, and the boats started getting really bigger, more specialized. I mean, we were using a ski boat the first couple years.
Oh God! If you look at the boat that we used to go out on versus my boat now, I don't even think my boat now would be considered a boat. Like I don't. It was so different. We took any boat we could find. We would take trash cans and fill them with water and stick them in the back and make the waves bigger. And you had to make all your friends stand on the one side. And then it was so bad on my dad's boat. We were lucky to have a boat, but my dad's boat, we'd make everybody stand on the one side of it, and then you had to get a couple people to stand on the front to weight it down so it would plane out just because you wanted the wave to be so big. Like you would get every friend you knew to get on this boat, and the wave would maybe be 6 inches. I don't know. And so now the wave behind my boat now is like 4 feet. I mean, it's just, and I get there by pushing a button. It's
How
just,
do those surf boats work?
Oh God, that's a whole other episode. I can talk about that for 7 days.
Okay.
They fill with water.
But back in these days,
Everything is
you
great.
tried to get Uncle Bob to come out because he was the biggest human you knew, and you just say, "Hey, let's go out on the boat," because you wanted him in your boat in that back corner of the boat, so it would
Okay.
wake.
And it was a lifestyle thing too, just like you said about snowboarding. Like I wanted to be a wakeboarder. Like it was when I was in college, and we'd come up here and spend the summers up here, and it was just awesome. And you'd hang out with your buddies. And the only thing I noticed different about snowboarding versus wakeboarding and stuff like that is snowboarding, you get a whole lot more time in the saddle. You go snowboarding, you're probably going to snowboard for 4 or 5 hours in a day or an hour even. Wakeboarding, you're going to wakeboard for 8 minutes, and then your buddy's going to go and stuff like that. But it was a lifestyle. Even if you went out with your friends and you wakeboarded for 4 minutes and all your friends went for 4 minutes, it was 2 hours, and it was just, it's a great lifestyle. It's it's an amazing lifestyle.
Did you get into wakeboarding, Steve?
Absolutely,
Can you do a backflip?
absolutely not.
Dude, I would make my mom stand on the back of the boat and measure her hands and tell me how high I got off the water. And I think she would lie to me. Like I'd be like an inch up and she'd be like, "Oh, you did good."
What was your worst wipeout? Do you remember?
I remember mine. I lost my contact in my eye. I landed on my face. No, it gets worse than this. I landed on my face. I don't think Noelle and I were married yet, but we were close to it. I was wakeboarding, landed on my face, and my contact, my face hurt real bad. And my contact was in the back part of my eye. So we went home, and Noelle picked on my eye for probably an hour trying to pull the contact out. And then so I was finally like, "Look, I can't take this anymore. We're going to the hospital." And we go to the hospital, and the doctor in the ER goes, "Look, dummy, that's not your contact. That's part of your eye." And so I don't know why I didn't realize this. When I fell, my face got hurt, and I thought my contact got pushed up in the back of my eye. If you really raise your eyelid up, you see this thing in there that kind of looks like a contact. It's not. It's part of your eye. So we were at home, and so the crash, I'm going to say kind of sort of hurt. The infection I got from Noelle picking on my eyeball for an hour before I went to the ER made it 1,000 times worse.
Oh, yeah.
What was yours?
So wakeboarding, you took some hard hits because you were
Way different than
jumping,
surfing.
and you'd land it, and it would just knock you silly for a little bit. So yeah, I think trying to do a 360, that was the thing I was really after, and I never did it. But you just get that your head, your back's facing the boat, and you catch an edge, and you just slam, shazam.
Yeah.
This will lead into the next podcast. I think I was with Mike Singer that day. The contact.
Okay.
I think so.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, but you do. So wakeboarding, what, you normally go 18, 22 miles an hour, which doesn't sound that fast. But when you cut in and hit the wave, I don't know, they didn't have Garmin watches to track your speed back then. You're probably going 40. So if you do it wrong and you lean on your face, it's not like getting concrete, but it might as well be. I remember one time I jumped off a jet ski on purpose. And I just kind of wanted to see what it was like. And I was going something like 40 or 50 and I just jumped off the jet ski. I ended up breaking my ankle and it was a horrible idea. So people don't think water is hard, but when you're going, I'm going to say when you're going over 20 miles an hour and you lean on the water, oh, it hurts. It definitely hurts.
And I think that's why wake surfing has become so popular, because you're going, 9 miles an hour and the falls don't hurt as bad, which I think is similar to the new foils that are coming out.
I haven't tried hydrofoiling yet. I really want to.
So,
I heard that you can get pretty cut up though if the foil.
You don't want to land on it.
Well,
Yeah.
we haven't seen any data yet or whatever, but you're being followed by this big metal wing.
Right.
So there's some issues there. Helmet's a really good idea, but you're going a lot slower. But the key here is it doesn't matter if it's choppy, because, the part in the water is below the surface. So I think, it's definitely, it's a sport. I don't know. We'll see if it goes huge, because there's a big steep learning curve. But they're definitely out there. And then you got the, behind the boat, and you can do it behind pretty much any boat. You might not be able to throw the rope back in behind your pontoon boat. But then you got the e-foils, and there's a handful of those on the lake, which is, they're pricey, but boats are pricey. Now you can go out on your own with the battery. And
Have you seen an e-foil on Deep Creek? Because I feel like I saw one over the summer.
yeah, there's a couple out there.
Yeah, okay. I thought that I saw one.
There's a kid. I don't know who he is, but it's my mission to figure out who this kid is. He lives somewhere down by the yacht club, and I'll see him out on my docks in the morning time. And he's a long ways away, so my guess is he's 10 to 14 years old, whatever. He looks little, but he has one, and I'm always so jealous. He's always so far away from me, I can't catch up to him and see who he is. But if you go down like towards Turkey Neck Yacht Club in the summer times, you'll see him out there on the weekends. And man, just like you said, he's out there by himself. That's the only hard part about wakeboarding and wake surfing now is you've got to have people with you. You can't just go out and do it. So that's why I think these what are they called? The ones that have the motors in them, just
E-foils.
E-foils. That's why I think they're going to take off. They're super. They're 10 or 15,000 now, right?
Yeah, I think probably around 14.
Smokes, okay.
So that's what a jet ski costs.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, so you almost got to make a
That's
decision.
a cheap boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want a jet ski or do you want one of those? And they'll probably come down in price as the years
That's
go
true.
on.
Yeah.
And
Innovation.
I bet you they're going to take off because I want one. I think everybody, it's something you'll be able to do by yourself. And I think that's really important in these sports.
Does anybody know how to jump with them yet? Like out of the water? Have you ever seen that?
Steve can do a
really?
backflip.
What?
He can do a 360.
But you're right. The foiling is, is a single sport, the e-foil. But that's the thing, which back to about COVID, boating, water sports is an incredible family experience because we're all stuck in this tiny boat and no one's getting off. So whether you like it or not, we're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Like with my family, some of the best times I had, the kids are out of school, off the bus, everyone in the boat, let's go play for 2 hours before the sun goes down. And it's a good time.
One of my favorite things in life is a jet ski. I love jet skis. Always loved them since I remember I saved up money in high school. I saved up $4,000 or $5,000, and I was going to use it to go to college, but then ended up getting a scholarship. And my parents helped me out, so instead I bought a jet ski, and that was the first one I ever bought. And it was a Sea-Doo XP something. It was yellow and pink and purple stickers on it. And this is 1995, and it was awesome. And it is the coolest experience once you get on jet skis. And one of the things I always talk about, because we have a couple now, we still go out on them. Have you ever seen anyone on a jet ski in a bad mood?
No.
It doesn't happen. I can go have the shittiest day ever. Go home and ride a jet ski for 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh, it was a good day.
I had a buddy of mine. They came up to visit. We somehow had a lot of house guests once we moved to Deep Creek, and they came up to visit. And we rented jet skis, and he was out on the main part of the lake, out kind of like in front of High Mountain, and he must have hit something and skipped across. He came off of his jet ski, skipped across, probably, 50 yards or something like that, and he was still happy.
I think about that with our lifestyle sometimes. It's good for us, and you probably do too. You meet people from the city who come up here to vacation and actually live what they want to live, how we live. which sometimes makes you realize that we take a lot of this stuff for granted. You don't mean to; it just turns into our life.
Yeah.
And looking back, I don't think I would fit in a city for a bunch of reasons, but I don't think I'd want to live somewhere where I couldn't go four wheeling, where I couldn't ride jet skis, where I couldn't go skiing. Like I always get so excited for the summertime when it's coming up on summer and it's getting warm outside. I can't wait to get on the jet ski. We don't get on a boat. I love it. And then I always get kind of depressed when summer ends. But about this time of year, I get really excited about it snowing. As soon as I get tired of the snowing, then here comes the summer. And I just places like this are where I want to live.
Agreed.
That was not a commercial.
Yeah.
But if you want to buy a home,
Yeah, we might. Yeah, I know a guy.
So, what is your favorite sport out of all of them you saw? If you had to, don't think, what is it? Skiing? Is it water skiing?
That's
is it
skiing.
Bike skiing?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, that's why I came here. I mean, I just love putting on my skis and heading down the slopes. And like, I get excited. I like selling skis because like when I was a kid, I was just so envious of people that worked at a ski resort or ski instructors, you know, like, wow, that's cool. You know, they're, you know, I wanted to be that lifestyle. So now I get to like, you know, go to shows and learn about skis and, you know, we get to go demo skis. You know, I get paid to go skiing. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah,
You've been
great.
so great with my daughters too. I need to tell you thank you for that. You've helped. Steve has helped both of my daughters with skis and ski boots. Is as goofy as it sounds. Ski boots with kids is insanely complicated. I have no idea how you match a kid to the right set of ski boots, and you've got to do it because they're really expensive, and you want to make sure they buy the right boot. And their feet grow so fast, and it comes the same way with bikes too. You and your shop have helped my kids immensely with skiing and biking, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming in. But you hit on a point here that, you know, I'm lucky because I get to sell all this fun stuff, but we're lucky because there's very few people that come in to buy a pair of skis that are in a bad mood, you know?
Yeah.
So we very rarely deal with people
That's
that
the
are
rental
in a
shop.
bad
The
mood.
people renting skis are the bad
Yeah.
moods.
Well, even then, you know, you come in on Friday night, you're going to go have a good time with your family, your friends, you know, once you pick up your rental skis. And the next day, you're going to be out there at 9 a.m. slaying it because it's starting to snow. And then you're going to go have a big lunch with your family and maybe sit in the hot tub with a cocktail.
I noticed that with rental houses too. When I first got in the business, because it was kind of all I could afford and what we got into, we were doing long-term rentals and where people would actually live. And the problem with long-term rentals is it was real life. People were not always happy. They were getting divorced. I don't know, whatever real life rolled around. Vacationers are generally happy people, you know. So us when we rent houses to them, or you when you're selling skis, like you said, nobody's going to come buy a set of skis in a bad mood.
Yeah, the trick is your transaction process is like 30 seconds, like they give you the card. And when you extend that transaction process is when people can potentially get unhappy.
Yeah.
When you sell, when
you have to wait in line to have on sports.
when you're selling a house, right? Like everybody's super excited to buy the house, and then then the process drags out, the butterflies until after closing, and then they're like, okay, we're here.
I
We got
thought
the
Mike
house.
was going to bring up I had to wait in line for 30 minutes, going to get a gift card.
Well, we did.
Well, that too. No,
You know,
they
somewhere
take great care of me every time. Yeah.
during that COVID thing, we were only allowed to have so many people in the store at a time. So, I was hiring these junior high school kids to sit there and count people in the store. And last December, from like December 9th to New Year's Day, we had a line out the door every day from like 10:30 to 4:30, and like 20 people waiting in line and they weren't waiting to shop. And we were so lucky, and it was cold out there.
Yeah.
But they didn't complain. It was part of this whole deal.
I had to wait Autumn Glory swap. I had to stand outside until somebody left, and I could.
I
walk
didn't
in.
know what the deal was. I just like walked right in, and some kid was like, "No, you gotta go. You gotta go inside. It's not
There's a
your turn."
line,
I'm like,
dude.
"Oh, I'm sorry."
Luckily, probably by design, there's a coffee shop next door.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
grab some coffee. and there
Very
you go.
fortunate.
Yeah.
So we started this podcast called Not Salty because Kristin has a question to ask you.
Oh yeah, it's the sweet and salty segment.
Yeah. Well, so being salty means you're upset about it. So what are you generally salty about or not salty about?
Well, we're the opposite of salt life. We live in a lake, so we're
Yeah.
not salty. See, boring. Nobody cares what you're not.
I said he could do either.
Nobody cares what you like. Tell us what makes you mad.
Well, probably the weather, like Like last year during Christmas week, the ski area shut down for like 3 days.
That was insane.
Yeah, so it's like, the weather here is variable. Like September this year sucked. September is my favorite month of the year. It's gonna be
rained a
warm,
lot, yeah.
And this year it rained and it was cold.
Great.
And
So happy I got married
Yeah.
last
so
September.
that's,
I would have been sweating.
yeah, so that's probably the thing that I'm, bummed out. Yeah, I'm like usually in September I do a lot of road bike riding. No one's here, roads, there's less traffic, and I didn't get hardly any.
Don't bet on Mother Nature. If you come to Deep Creek, you need to bring a T-shirt and a sweatshirt and have a vest in
And
your truck,
four-wheel
too.
drive.
Yes, and a truck.
My, I'll get, the infamous Mogi. He told me that if you're looking at the weather here and it's like chance of rain, it'll rain. But if it's chance of scattered thunderstorms, it probably won't rain.
We'll have to
Have
map
you
it.
guys ever? Yeah, I was gonna say, check that out.
Look, the real hard-hitting question is, what's your best Honi Honi story?
Yes.
So when we were a little younger, I guess there's trying to remember which ones I could tell.
This is such a better question.
Tiger Claw.
For those who don't know, Honi Honi is a bar at Deep Creek.
So we'd have our big Labor Day
A very fun
sale.
bar.
Actually, it wasn't the Honi Honi. It was the what was it called?
Round bar?
No, the Jimmy Lascaris' bar.
Oh, Silver Tree.
So after Labor
What was
Day
the
weekend,
bar at Silver Tree called? The old boat bar?
yeah, what was it? Anyways, that's where you'd go at Labor Day weekend for the final party of the weekend. So that was always like getting through Labor Day weekend, the big sale. So you could go over there, hang out, and have a cold beer. But there was one night we were there and with an undisclosed friend of mine, and it got really foggy, and it probably took us 2 to 3 hours to get to his house because I don't know if you've ever been out in the lake when it's foggy. Like, you don't need a map here, but once it's foggy, you have no clue where you
Imagine.
are.
Yeah.
And this was before GPS and any of that. So, like you're just creeping along the shoreline trying to figure out where in the heck you are to get anywhere.
Trying not to hit other boats and docks.
No one else was stupid enough to be out that time of night with fog.
I ran a boat up on the Holy Cross one time like that. 30, 40 feet up on shore. It was foggy. We thought we were turning on a cove. And this was back when the monks still lived in Holy Cross.
I was going to ask.
So you can imagine, like Steve setting it up. It's foggy. You can't see anything. We're on our way home from a bar, and we run right up on shore. And then the boat doesn't go off, so the prop's hitting it. It's just bouncing all around the back. And I remember my friend Brendan flew out of the boat. And then we finally get it turned off. And then all these monks walk down. And I was like, man, I think we're dead.
It's all
We
foggy. You
weren't.
got
We lived.
monks good.
The only reason I almost died was we totally got away with it. And so when that happened, we actually, I don't know why we didn't think it was going to sink. We put the boat on logs. The monks helped us and turned around and pushed it back into the lake. And then what I did was I walked home and got my dad's truck, which is a couple miles away, came back and got it. And I don't remember, somebody had called the police, and the police were like, oh, you guys are cool, just go home. And everything perfectly until it was on the radio the next morning. My mom heard it.
Oh.
So we ended up getting caught.
So close.
There was a point that, the weather really aggravates me when it's not perfect. But I think in the old days, it was a really big deal if you couldn't ski. It kind of like ruined people's weekends. But the lodging here, the amenities here are so nice. Like I'm on the chamber board, and we'll get some numbers for some times where things aren't that great with weather. And it astounds me. People don't care. They want to ski, but if they can't, there's a hot tub and a big pool room, or, the pool table, and they can, have three, they haven't seen Uncle Bob from Indiana, or, and Aunt Sue from Pittsburgh, and everyone coming for the weekend to have a great time. And the weather was bad. We don't care. They still had a good time.
Yeah,
and you see it in the numbers, on those times.
That's one of the things that I've learned from selling real estate around here is people will buy a house and they'll say, well, my son's in Ohio and my other son's in Pittsburgh and we're down in DC, and this is just the perfect place to, get together. So.
But back in the day, there were some old rustic cottages that weren't so nice.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't the focal point like this. So if you ruined your ski weekend, it was kind of like, we're playing this kind of musty in
Monopoly.
here.
Yeah.
So I hijacked your story. You were leaving the harbor bar. I just remember what it was called. It was the harbor bar. You were leaving the harbor bar, which I used to work at for a while. It was great. and it was foggy and you left. Do you need a tiger claw or what?
No. What it was just it took us 3 hours to get
There was
3
no
miles away.
climax. Like, there was nobody got arrested.
We did
or-
not get arrested. We did not make the news.
Oh,
we didn't hit
boo.
anything.
He picked a nice story.
Yeah.
Last week, Jesse was talking about. Listen to the episode. It was pretty rough.
We'll save that. Well, I guess anybody who's listening to this one would already have heard that one.
Apparently, there was a
Allegedly.
contest with the bars, a summit contest at all the local bars here, and they would hide a notepad on the roof of these bars, and people would climb up onto the roof and write their name on it.
Wow.
That happened. Yeah, that was Jesse's story.
There's a place you can write your name on underneath the third solar panel to the left on top of High Mountain Sports.
Yeah, don't go looking for it.
Please do not climb up on the roof. Hey man, just to wrap up, I think we're probably getting out of time.
Yep, we're just over an hour.
Your wife is probably just as amazing as you are and athletic, and you just had a daughter that got married 2 weekends ago.
Yep. So my wife is incredible. She sells real estate too. We were both ski instructors, got engaged on the slopes. She went to Frostburg.
Slopes at Wisp here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up on the face. And, we've been at it. She's a much better athlete than me because she's focused and motivated, or, I might have a little speed, but she's focused and motivated. But anyways, we had this incredible wedding over at the Red Barn here a couple weeks ago. My daughter, in the beginning, I offered a couple suggestions on what I thought the wedding might want to be, and I figured out really quick that maybe I should just let them take care of things, and that worked out really well because it was an incredible wedding.
That's awesome.
She had like this, bride of the forest dress that was incredible, and it was a great weekend.
I've met your son-in-law. I think he did the boat competition.
Yeah, he did the dragon
that's
boat race
right.
with
Okay.
us. Lee did.
Yeah,
and he was
we-
telling me a little bit about it. It was pretty neat. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys went on like a family hiking trip somewhere out west, and
You did the Half Dome.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a good story. We went to Yosemite, and Lee had worked out there as a seasonal ranger, so he knew. I didn't know you had to get permits and all this stuff to show up because it's so crowded, or it's hard to get into the park, especially during COVID. So he set everything up. So we're going to hike this Half Dome. I don't know anything about it. So about a week before we went out there, I figured I'd better look it up. And it's like this rock where they have cables on it. Like, it's not quite mountain climbing, rock climbing, but it's pretty
Heard it's
close.
really steep. Yeah.
But yeah, we went in there. We did some backpacking for a couple of days, and then we did this climb, and it's pretty epic. It's if you haven't been to Yosemite,
It's on my list for sure.
I had no clue. It was wild.
I think in the next couple of years, Mandy and I are going to probably fly into Grand Canyon, cut across, hit Yosemite, and then take Route 1 up to the Redwoods and kind of make a trip out of it like that. She was like, why would we want to drive with Lucy? She's too young to remember anything. And she saw this quote, "The internet saved me," where it's like, well, that's like saying you don't want to read your kids' books because they won't remember. And I'm like,
that's a good one.
boom. I was like, the internet did it for me.
The kid may not remember, but the parents will.
Oh, yeah. And that's
What
my
it's
thing.
all
Exactly.
about. So, Steve, man, thank you for not going to law school. Thank you for not becoming a defense contractor, and thank you for spreading the love of skiing to everybody who's been in Deep Creek for the past. How long has it been? 30 years?
Yeah, 30 plus.
Wow. If you guys need any advice on any adventure sports there is, you need any equipment at all, stop into High Mountain Sports. Every employee you have that I've ever met is insanely knowledgeable, great people, love what they do. You guys have great prices, a huge assortment of products, and I can't speak highly enough of you. And if somebody wants to buy a house, tell them to call your wife.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye.